my M16A4 inspired clone was my second AR-15, and it's really the gun that started to open my eyes to the world of building your own ARs as opposed to always just ordering them complete from the factory, which there is nothing wrong with doing. Even though I only swapped out a few parts on this, it was still something that was pretty eye-opening to me, and so it always has that special place in my heart. And the M16A4 just in general looks really awesome and has a cool classic look. Now, I call this an inspired clone because actually very little on it actually has the correct parts. A lot of it is just how it looks, but that's really good enough to me. This gun in particular has about 2,000 rounds through it, and I really just use it as a little bit of a longer range gun. So as opposed to always shooting in 50 yards, I can take it out to my range as 200 yards, and they do have even further than that, but I have to qualify for that. Now, you definitely don't need to have a scope if you're shooting out to 200 yards. That's perfectly acceptable for iron sights, but it still gives me an excuse to try a new skill and to have fun along the way. The upper receiver is a BCM government profile 20-inch barrel chambered in 5.56, and it comes with a 1-in-7 twist. And on it I have the Knight's Armament M5 RAS that I got on Gunbroker. As you can see, this is a thick rail, and it contributes a lot to the M16A4's weight. Now, the rail panels do make it thicker, but it protects the rails themselves, and it rounds out the look. The light on here is an incorrect Streamlight ProTac HLX because I couldn't find the correct Surefire light at a price that I was willing to pay. It's still a chunky light though, so I think it's consistent from a look standpoint, and its brightness and pressure pad also make it a good option, as you can see here. And I just used electric tape to black out the logos. Now, coming back to the ACOG and the optics, what I have here is the Trijicon TA31RCO-A4CP, which is meant for the 20-inch barrel. Many of you are already familiar with the ACOG, but it's a fixed 4-power scope and has turrets that are adjustable for windage and elevation. The glass quality and the field of view are incredible, and I'm really happy with it as my first magnified optic. The rear sight is the MaTech, not sure how to pronounce it, rear sight, which is adjustable from 200 to 600 meters. And although I'm not perfect, as I've mentioned before, it's easy to hit 8-inch steel plates at 200 yards. Like the ACOG, this MaTech rear sight is a beefy sight, but I think it adds quite nicely to the already large profile of the rifle itself. The lower receiver is also BCM, and I just changed out the grip and the buttstock to make it something a little more period correct. It comes with BCM's PNT, which is a polished nickel Teflon trigger, which is slightly better than I'd say a well-worn and mil-spec trigger, but I imagine this isn't anything close to Geisley's 2-stage triggers. But still, I like it a lot and it works just fine. For the smaller yet equally important parts of the gun, we have the PSA Premium Bolt Carrier Group, which I've been led to believe is a Toolcraft BCG, but I can't actually confirm that. It's staked very well and it's phosphate coated, but one thing I've noticed is that this BCG does not like steel. I ran into several feeding issues of steel case wolf ammo, so just something to keep in mind if you're looking to pick up this BCG. For what it's worth, I've also used the same magazines and ammunition in my other AR-15s that have different BCGs, and there were no issues. And then the charging handle is just a spare mil-spec charging handle I had lying around, and it works just fine. And finally, for magazines, we have the D&H USGI mags from PSA, and I've always liked these ones. Very cheap, affordable, reliable, and durable. So what more could you need? As you can pick up from this video, this gun is a little more of a fun gun. I felt like after I bought my first Daniel Defense, that was my first AR-15 that really checked the boxes of everything that I would actually need for an AR for home defense or what have you. So now it was time to branch out to something a little more exciting, a little more fun, and the M16A4 is something I always had on my bucket list that I wanted, hence the rifle in the video you're seeing now. We're all familiar with the M16A4, but I'll just touch on these points anyway. Obviously, it's a very long and heavy gun, so I wouldn't say it's my first choice if I actually had to have like a grab and go rifle. At the same time, it's nothing practice can't get past, and we've seen in the early 2000s that this gun is still very capable overseas. The ACOG 2 being a fixed 4-power is not exactly ideal for close quarters, but I've noticed it is actually possible to use as a red dot, but obviously again, as I just said, not probably your first choice. This model does allow you to add a red dot on top of the ACOG, but I think for me I'm just going to leave it as it is, because I already know what I'm using this gun for, which really is long range and it's more just for fun. This isn't to say I think that this gun isn't isn't capable of actually being used practically. I know it is, and I definitely would trust this rifle with my life. I'm only saying just, if I had the choice in the moment, I would probably pick up something which is a little lighter, a little shorter, and a little more suited for closer encounters, which is probably, just as a normal dude and civilian, probably what I would actually need. So these are by no means bad things, they're just kind of considerations. Obviously, I still love the gun. I think it's just such a good look, and it's a nice little throwback to the early 2000s. And yeah, I look forward to shooting it next time at the range. I'll definitely go out to the 200 yard, practice enough to get better so I can shoot out even further than that. But until then, just a short and sweet video on this rifle. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one.